The At Your End Step podcast is brought to you by Comic Town. Check them out at www.comictown.net and search for Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hey.
We have another...
Is that a question?
Dave?
And Dave?
Hey.
And Dave?
Bees?
Hello.
Bees? No. Dave is for sure here. I know my inflection at the end of that may have seemed like it was a question, but fact. Dave is here. He said hello.
Probable.
Probable.
Not questionable.
He's ethereal at this point in time. Anyway.
Just like a Patriots fan. Probable, but no cause of injury listed.
So we have another fun-filled episode for you guys this week. A few community topics. So Origins is starting to get out a little bit. Today was the first day of official spoilers, but you know, things already feels like a lot of the set has already been kind of leaked out slowly, and like all of the Planeswalkers have been leaked, which is really awkward. Like,
Yeah, like
so.
one of the previews today was like, oh, look, here's Nissa.
Oh.
Cool.
You already know this.
Oh, she's not always a black promo? I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they made a full color.
I showed them to my wife, and she was like, oh, that's a really cool thing. I'm like, oh, no, that's just a promo. And she's like, why'd they reveal that one first? I'm like, oopsies.
It may have been an accident. I don't know. Then we have a few GPs in the Indy Open to talk about, and then we have a question of the week, and then our typical closing stuff, and then a little bit of a special announcement, I would say. Nothing too big, but something we want to bring up that we're going to start doing. So let's go ahead and jump into the community. And we're starting off with a touchy subject. On Friday, Jim Davis wrote an article about women in Magic. And it was quickly pulled down from Star City Games' website due to it causing a bit of a stir in the community. Obviously, this is at large in society, this is kind of a huge discussion that's happening, not necessarily in the Magic, like just specifically Magic, but just like a society as a whole.
No, I mean, this is definitely a broader topic.
Yeah,
being
certainly.
narrowed into our game, which is good. Mm-hmm. Not the article. Don't get me wrong. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But the idea of and this article itself is a rebuttal to a pretty stellar article that Star City ran earlier in the week. And I'm trying to remember her name, Megan.
I'm going to pull it up here.
Okay.
Megan Wolf. She's on Magic the Amateuring podcast.
Yes.
So you may have already listened to her podcast. She's on their show shows up on MTG Cast. So.
And their tweets are hilarious. So.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it was pulled down so quickly that I didn't even see it when it was originally up, and I only know about it because people were tweeting about, "Hey, what was that article that got taken down off of Star City?"
Right,
and that's kind of where I guess the craze kind of took hold.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really are going to there's if you really want to go look, there's like 17 rebuttals to this, which in itself is a rebuttal, and there's an infinite rabbit hole of ways you can go look and address and break it down. What it really comes down to is that if you had a person who really didn't have, at least that's what I'll say, who didn't really have the wherewithal to express the opinions that he had, like, there's no malice there. If you read that article, this is not a person who's coming from a place of hate. It's a person who's coming from a place of just doesn't get it, like doesn't really get it.
Yeah, a bit naive.
Yeah, like the sentiment, like the base sentiment is nice, like, hey, everybody treat everyone equally, but when you're talking about power dynamics in society, like it doesn't work like that. Did you actually see Morrow actually had a really, really good Magic analogy for it, which was pretty. They posted like somebody asked him about it, and he's like, well, I don't really want to get into this, but his Magic analogy was actually beautiful.
Yeah, I did see that.
He's like, imagine you go to a random game store and you sit down and you write down 20 for both you and your opponent's life total, and your opponent says, no, I started at 40, and you're like, well, why? And it's like, well, because that's what we do at this game store. I'm from here. That's what we do. He's like, oh, but that's not fair. He's like, well, it's fair to me. I'm sorry it's upsetting for you, but it's fair for me, right? And like I said, like, would you feel that's fair? And so the person on the other side is going to feel like there's nothing wrong with that situation. That's how they were taught to play the game. But for you, it's unfair, and you have no one to appeal to because everyone else is from there. And I was like, man, like this. Pretty eloquent for just like life totals. All right, and I think that's sort of the idea that it was maybe lost on Jim Davis was this idea of like it's hard to really see what people are upset about as far as inequality when you actually can't have experienced the inequality. It just can't have happened. So, and honestly, in that statement, with some of the terrible things we've had, happen in the last week here, in South Carolina, and these struggles like this, they don't go away easily. So he for himself unfortunately hit on a nerve and is probably getting some backlash he was not expecting to be getting. So that is unfortunate for him, but the conversation itself hopefully will continue to move forward into a positive light.
Yeah, it's an important conversation to have, in all honesty, and it's difficult one to have, especially if you have no way of necessarily being empathetic and actually immersing yourself in the both sides of the argument. And that's why I think you have to be very careful when you are trying to express these opinions, and to really make sure, is this acceptable? And ideally that's something you also want your editor to do for you. And I think that's another thing that disappointed a lot of people about this, is that Star City Games themselves felt that this was appropriate when clearly the backlash that they received from it proved otherwise. And I think a lot of people are frustrated with that, just for the sheer fact that Star City Games has a pretty good track record of putting out quality articles.
As I said, this article itself in rebuttal to a pretty stellar article, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So
this wasn't the first time that they actually pulled an
No,
article.
they'd done this previously. Yeah.
I will say this. I didn't think it was a great article. I didn't think it was absolutely horrible as far as maybe the tone. Maybe it was a little tone deaf.
It wasn't hateful.
No, yeah, it wasn't hateful. So in a way, I do feel a little bit bad for Jim Davis, because I don't think he was trying to come off the way he did, but he just wasn't really in a position to really talk about this kind of thing, I guess. But the thing for me, because it wasn't hateful, I didn't really understand why they had to pull it down. I think you just.
What I took from that, and what I had said on Friday, was that the real thing is that, and again, you shouldn't censor for this reason, but I understand the logic. Nothing good comes of it. If you looked at the comments of it, you either have a group of people and a lot of women who are very offended, and they're going to be angry about it. And on the other, you don't have a lot of people in the middle of the road. Then you have a bunch of the sort of the chest banging, sort of this is what I've been saying, right? It doesn't help anybody. You end up having people who are on opposite sides. It doesn't bridge anything. All you're gonna have is a 300 comment cesspool of just hate.
Yeah.
On an article that really, again, wasn't hateful. So I don't blame them for doing this. Obviously, no matter what you did there, it was going to cause another conversation.
Yeah, I could get that. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was, and this is just me personally. I didn't feel like it was that bad to be pulled down, and I felt like it got made into a bigger thing than it really
of course it
needed
did.
to be.
I mean, we're good about that as a community and as a people. You know what I mean? And honestly, when most of the conversation about the article happens on Twitter, like I said, a number of the rebuttals are actually pretty good, and they're good because they move away from Twitter and actually have some chance to breathe and let a person articulate. Because when you start fighting on 140 characters and you're tagging 10 people while you're trying to continue this fight, you're not accomplishing anything. You're not furthering the conversation.
Yeah. And I think when you're you're discussing something that is very touchy and is something that I think a lot of people in the community want to do something about it, and you don't necessarily push forward the conversation, then that's not helping anyone. So I understand Star City, even if they're just doing it to try to save face. In all honesty, you are a business at the end of the deal, and this is going to cut into how you are viewed in the community, then it is something that needs to be acknowledged.
Right.
And even an example of this and something similar that honestly happened in real life IRL terms was something that happened with Taylor Swift and Apple. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah.
In that Apple knew that this was going to be something that was going to harm them, and they made the right decision to take a look and change things due to something that was sent to them due to something negative that was going to happen. So they have to kind of handle themselves the same way.
I think what's nice about social media and how we're able to interact even with the community, what us three are sitting here doing now, is that you have a chance to share your opinion. But I think the hardest thing to do sometimes, and we're all guilty of this, so don't get me wrong, but the hardest thing to do sometimes is know that you have a strong opinion about something, and then know that it doesn't matter. And I know it's a weird thing to say, like, I have a strong opinion about blank. My opinion doesn't matter about blank. I have no reason to talk about blank. I shouldn't. And that's not an easy thing to, when you have a strong opinion, we're empowered anymore. So I think hopefully for a number of people, this at least, causes you to think, what, maybe that's not so great. Maybe, hey, in the future, we shouldn't, go from this end. And even to Cedric, and Star City, they did apologize. They write an apology for it and some reasoning behind it. So I don't know if it's fully justified or anything like that, but definitely, something to definitely be aware of it and know that, you should, if you look at any of these things, like, they can be a spark, then you should really, really take a long look in the mirror before you decide to engage someone in it.
Right. And, in no way should anyone feel like they can't take part in the conversation.
No, for sure.
Like, I think that might be some kind of nastiness that comes from this, but like I think everyone has a role to play in the conversation of women in Magic, and that you shouldn't necessarily be afraid to talk to people about it and be more educated about it and just learn more and be someone that is an agent of change about it, and don't shy away from it, and get hard-formed opinions about it. Talk and discuss and like actually grow as a community. I think that's hugely important in this thing that's happening in our community right now. So, yeah. I think it's a totally good note to end that conversation on. Let's go ahead and move into some Magic Origins stuff. So, like we said, a lot of the stuff has been a little bit spoiled. Like, we have all the Planeswalkers, and that was kind of interesting. In all honesty,
I feel like this is like a surprise party where the wrong person came in the room first. Like they came in and just like, surprise! Oh, it's not him. And then like, too late. We're already
it's
done.
over. Yeah. Sorry. So we basically want to talk about just a little bit of cards because we'll get more in depth to this once the whole set is out.
A few cards.
Yes, a few cards. Did I say a couple?
You said a little bit.
Okay, a little bit of cards.
Okay, Stannis.
Just the bottom. Hey, number one dad. Happy Father's Day. Just the bottom left part of the cards, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just like in the bottom left where it has like the artist, collector's number,
rarity,
specifically
and
those
foil.
things.
You can know if it's foil.
That's
so
true.
A little star now.
No, a few cards, and then I'll talk about the mechanics. Now, mechanics can kind of be summed up pretty quickly. The only ones that we haven't actually actively talked about is Renown. Renown is something that was first shown today. Initially, I saw it. Obviously, there's an article about it on the mothership, but there was a spoiled card that showed up on MTG Salvation that was Korean, and the Renown translation from Korean directly is Fame. And I really wanted it just to be Fame at that moment in time, just so we could all have David Bowie flashbacks, and not flashbacks, but. But no, it's Renown, and I'm okay with that. I guess my dreams were quickly dashed, so it's fine.
It's interesting how different the connotation is. Like Fame and Renown are really similar, so you can see how the translation happens. But in a game of Magic, like celebrity is not a common thing celebrated in Magic. Renown though is. So
correct.
Definitely one's more flavorful, despite not being as fun to karaoke.
So Renown reads Renown X. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, if it isn't renowned, put +X counters on it, and it becomes renowned. So it sort of works like Monstrous.
I think it's very similar to Monstrous. Like there's no indicator, and like Monstrous as well. Like even if the counters got removed, once it's become renowned, it cannot become unrenowned. And then there's some of them have triggers like Monstrous did.
Yeah, correct. So the first example that we have is Rock Smaulers, which is 4 and a green for a 4/4 with trample, and it has a renown 2, so it become a 6/6 with trample, and be known all across the multiverse because it's renowned.
Well, I think the flavor here works really well because there's a couple other spells too that it says like targets a creature and then checks if it's renowned and does something else. Like the flavor here is insane. Like hey, we need a hero. Help! We need somebody. Like you can just like, okay, here's a random guy. Can you help us? But like, wait. Aren't you blank? Oh my God, we have, what I mean? Like that, to me, that's actually really cool. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Like, it's honestly a really simple ability, and it plays, as I said, very much like heroic, but it's kind of interesting. I was wondering if they were ever going to be able to fit in like the throne, like because that's such a multiplayer mechanic, and this feels like, what can we do with the throne? Renown,
Yeah. And then we have, Menace, Prowess,
Scry.
Spell Mastery, which is going to be exclusively
It is static
spells.
too. Now, they
It
did
is
say that
static
could
too.
change because it said that its spell mastery isn't something specific, but for now it's going to check on two. So I think in the future you could see spell mastery being something more specific or varied.
Yeah. And like a lot of the spell mastery cards kind of seem like they could be something. I mean, like, it's interesting. Like, I feel like that could really be, something they push. So, and then Scry in Prowess. Yeah.
So speaking of spell mastery, the best one that I've seen so far is the Fiery Impulse.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the new shock variant.
It's, I would say, like the new Magma Spray variant, right? Because it only hits creatures.
It only hits creatures, right?
Yeah.
So it's a red for 1 red, instant, deals 2 damage to target creature, spell mastery. So if you have 2 or more instants and or sorceries, it deals 3 damage. So it's like a lightning bolt to a creature.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but it's going to be competing with
Wild Slash.
Wild Slash, yeah, for its duration and standard.
Not for its duration, because Fate Reforged rotates earlier.
Most of it.
I mean, does.
Yeah.
A lot of it, sure. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think this is a good combination of mechanics showing up here. I think we're Renown and Spellmaster. It doesn't sometimes you see a mechanic you're just Devotions kind of seem when you first saw it, or Heroic, where it's just that's meh. But these all seem like of the new ones. Menace, we've seen Menace before and just in other flavorings, but I'm pretty excited to see all these and see how they work, and it's nice to see Prowess continue and stuff like that. So let's talk about some of the cards then. So let's talk about Gideon now. There hasn't actually been an official way to pronounce the creature form of Gideon.
Yeah, Kithian?
I'm gonna say Kithian, I guess.
Kytheon?
Yeah. Obviously, there has to be some connection between Kithian and Gideon. They have to sound the same.
So, I'm really excited for his story.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, why did he change it?
Why? So,
did he go back to Theros to be oh yeah, Gideon? I don't know what Kithian guy you're talking about. I don't know.
So that's obviously the big question here. What? Why? Because there has to be some significance to it, or they wouldn't have done it. This is a card. People are going to play with it. You're actively kind of distancing yourself from Gideon, a name that people know, even if it only a small amount. So there has to be a reason why. Now
the simple answer to me, and I doubt it's the answer they're going to use, because it's something they don't really talk about very much in Magic. Yeah, they have their pronunciations. They work really hard on this. But it's sort of the same, Star Wars runs into this, right? Where it's look at all the planets they go to, and you guys speak perfect English. Heck, most of you sound British. Isn't that weird, right?
Very eloquent.
The same thing goes here. So the simple answer would be that, Kithian, and whatever that sound is, in Akros, may actually have been difficult. The first plane he went to, they're what? And he was you know what? Gideon. That's what or they said Gideon. So that is something that's even flavorful, because you have languages that really shouldn't be compatible. You shouldn't be able to go interdimensional and wow, evolution worked the same on every plane.
Wow.
That's crazy how
Everybody
that happened.
speaks the same language.
and you have to have some of that within this kind of storytelling. So of course, you pull that thread too much and you can't enjoy it anymore. So they're probably going to have some reason he's changed his name, but that would be the reason it would make sense to me. Well, his name was difficult, to understand, when he went to Zendikar or wherever else he went to, oh yeah, it's Gideon, that's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, most certainly could be the case. So let's actually take a look at the cards. So it's 1 white mana for 2/1. So it's a Savannah Alliance.
1-drop Planeswalker. We did it.
You broke the format. Already better than simple. So it's at the end of combat. It's Kithian, hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures have attacked this combat. Exile him, and then return him to the battlefield. Transform under his owner's control. So the typical Planeswalker text, but he has battle. What was that?
It's Oh shoot! I just had it.
I know the Boros ability.
I keep trying to call it raid, and that's a battalion.
Battalion, that's what it is. And then he has an activated ability, which is 2 and a white, and he gains indestructible until end of turn.
But this is where the flavor gets insane, right? Because like the desperate stand card that he's referenced on before is a group of guys defending a bridge. You know what I mean, right? It's like, oh man, they're attacking in large groups. They're using battalion, and then he goes to Ravnica, and he's like, hey Boros guys, you know what you guys should be doing? Battalion. That's what we should be doing. So I hope that's the flavor. He just goes around telling everybody, like, fight in groups of 3. It's the best thing you can do.
Just always. Never stop doing that.
If you only have 2 people, you'll lose. Get a third.
Find a buddy.
I didn't even think of that when I saw this card. That's pretty cool.
Hashtag Vorthos. So
big fan of the buddy system.
So this guy is like he also I don't know if we said that he gets a white and 2 colorless. He can become indestructible.
Yeah, we just said that.
Okay, I didn't know if you said.
No. Okay.
So this guy's actually, at least in standard right now, is actually fairly easy to flip. Turn 1 Kithian, turn 2 raise the alarm.
Yeah.
Next turn, play your 3rd land. You can make him indestructible. So like he's definitely flippable. He's absolutely playable as a 1-drop. Granted, 1-drops like this have not been great in the format recently, but indestructible is a nice little taste here. And when he flips, he's almost Gideon Jura. Almost.
He's so close. Oh man. He is Gideon Battleforged.
He gets so muscular. It's like the Hercules thing, right? Like the Disney one. He gets all like
yeah. Listen, he just wants to pump you up.
Wow.
So +2, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon during its controller's next turn if able. So sounds familiar.
So instead of all of their
so instead of everyone,
instead of just going come at me, bro, he's just like you come at me, bro.
You specifically fight me.
Fight me right now.
And then he has +1, so he only goes up until your next turn. Target creature gains indestructible. Untap that creature. So pretty cool. And then lastly, 0, so no ultimate. Until the end of turn, Gideon becomes a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be done
dealt.
Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. Yeah,
he wouldn't be a Gideon if he didn't have a 0.
Yeah, it's true. If he didn't at some point in time get into that battle.
He's a 1-drop that can start attacking for 4, like that scales with some work. Don't get me wrong, but I like this one. Like this design feels really cool. Like even like how his +2 is like referencing Gideon Jura, obviously, but it plays in my mind like really different. Like if you're playing White Weenie with him, like that you want, then making a guy like
yeah, you can race.
Yeah, like make your Siege Rhino attack so I can get through, which feels a lot different than what Gideon Jura was doing, which is like, yeah, you're never gonna hit my life total. You're all coming over here. So I really like this design. Like I don't know how good White Weenie is. There's a lot of tools for it right now. The format's not really friendly for it, but I think. I like this design. Out of all of them, like the way they tried to like fit into this, I really like this design.
Yeah. Also, the +1 ability, the second ability there, it works kind of like the new Sorin, where it lasts until your next turn. So you can attack with a guy, and then post combat +1 to untap him and then make him indestructible, so they can
protect.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, it seems like he does well on offense and on defense, which is. Not a lot of planeswalkers can say that.
No, so I think this is definitely interesting. This is a design win for me. Some of them have not been, but this one all positives.
I think I like this one the most out of all the ones that you've seen.
Yeah, for constructed, I think it's this one, and then probably Nissa second.
Yeah,
out of the ones that we've kind of seen. So
I mean, from the flavor side, like I think because I think before when we talked about the other ones, I was a little bit down on the actual cards themselves. I'm sorry if I like. Looking at it from a constructed angle, it's hard not to be sometimes. But from the flavor perspective, from the Vorthos side, I'm loving this. Like, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The Chandra, the origin story from a few weeks ago was not great. The Liliana one, though, this last week, unreal. Like, if you didn't go read that, go to the mothership, read it. You get the whole life story. Like, her as a little kid, her as a planeswalker who has, like, lost, like, her abilities as, like,
her as an old lady, yeah.
Oh, man, it's just... Oh, man, go read it. It's so sick.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So next up, we are going to be talking about Chandra's parents, Pia and Kiran Nalar. So it's 2 red for a 2/2, and then when this creature enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. And then you can pay 2 in a red and sacrifice an artifact, and this creature deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So it's Siege Gang Parents, as Mike stated.
Seasonal R.
Seasonal R. Yeah, and this card's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool. You know, we're looking at Mythic Spoiler, and under here they have Tabor and Lumia. And I was like, oh man, that'd be great if they did a card like this for Chandra's parents.
Yeah, he did call it. I'm not gonna lie. So
and they did it. I'm excited.
I love everything about this card.
Yeah,
I love the
why
flavor
wouldn't
of
you?
it. I know. I'm just glad to see the Chandra comes from a good family. You know what I mean?
Very loving,
Very wholesome.
very inventive.
But honestly, I love the card too. Like I said, I'm scared that it won't. This card should be straightforward good, and I'm scared that it won't be the way the standard looks right now. But you get 3 creatures for 1 in red that gets some cool utility. You know, Dave, you were talking about how you can you can sacrifice other artifacts, which gives a deck that you put into this some reach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you look at it and you're like, oh, I can sack the Thopters too. But you can sack any artifact. You can sack Darksteel Citadel if you decide you want to play that in Standard. I mean, who knows? It might be a...
Hey, Ornithopter's legal too.
Yeah, you can play...
Soul Artifact.
Yeah, and Soul Artifact, yeah.
Springleaf Drum.
Blast.
Let's go. Let's make it happen.
I'll be back, guys. But in all reality, it's like I think something about this card that, like, hopefully it lines up well, because it said anytime, like, there's not a lot of very easy 2-for-1s in Magic anymore. Like they try to make you jump through hoops, and they're like, here, red, here's some card advantage. So I hope it's as good as it looks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an effective 4/4 for 4, which I mean is on par with a lot of things these days.
In red, it's not a dragon.
Yeah, but having it spread out is nice, and it's a good top deck later in the game. So.
Yeah, it does
like
a lot of work later in the game. It's not just 4 power; it's also 4 damage to the face, as well. It was what it could represent. So I like this a lot. Obviously, being legendary, you can't just jam a bunch of them.
Right.
But
I don't
playing,
think you'd want to jam a bunch of them anyway.
Playing in Dave's cube, I can was it Beetleback Chief or whatever it is?
Yeah,
card's insane.
All right, and then lastly, we wanted to talk about Languish. 2 black for a sorcery, and it's all creatures get -4 until end of turn.
Do you guys get ticking?
The picture is of a smoky alligator or crocodile.
He just ate Hook. I mean, that's what
I think it's a crocodile. So, no, clearly, just reminds me. Yeah. So this is as close as we're gonna get to Damnation in Standard, guys.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this is, and this is what the representative.
It's basically a fixed mutilate. It's just fixed on 4.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see this card, with so much discussion about. Now, granted, this is not a hard wrath effect, so and we can talk about some things that survive this card. But you really felt the dichotomy in Standard with, like, you have End Hostilities and Crux of Fate up here at 5, and you have Anger of the Gods and Drown in Sorrow, and what was the other Seismic Rupture down here at 3, and that's really what you had. So to see this card. This black card be printed at your 4-drop slot, sort of like I was not expecting this card, and I think this card's very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're no longer going to be printing the just unconditional wrath at 4. So this is probably the closest thing we're going to get for a while anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty sweet. Now, some of the cards that you were going to mention there that doesn't kill, awkwardly enough, would be Siege Rhino or Tassiger. But you could play this in a deck with those cards and just kill everything else.
Yeah, I was looking at the comments here, like, this removal spell doesn't pass the Siege Rhino text. It has the next comment, play it with Siege Rhino. Like, oh, yeah.
It depends on which side you're testing it on, right?
Yeah, this card is also, I mean, again, indicative of what Standard looks like right now, but sort of frustrating that it actually has a chance to kill more 5-drops than 4-drops. But hey, what do I know?
I mean, having it be 4 mana is going to be super important though against the red decks.
Right. Oh no, I don't.
A turn,
I don't disagree.
Turn faster than Crux of Fate in those types of decks. So yeah, this is definitely going to see play, and yeah, sweet card.
Yeah. Kills Kithian. If you make him indestructible, sad.
There's a Planeswalker though.
Yeah. Yeah.
He ain't languishing nothing.
Nope. Not at all. So yeah, just from those 3 cards, I think like Origins it's going to be an interesting set to say the least. I mean, we have the Planeswalkers, and they're all flip Planeswalkers, obviously, so we don't have any the same old there, and they seem interesting and it's cool to mix them up, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I can't wait to get more spoilers tomorrow. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like the checklist cards as well. I don't know if you saw those.
Oh yeah, they
today.
look a lot
Yeah,
better.
that's pretty sweet.
Because there's only a couple of them. They can like put in like little pictures of them
Yeah.
too. Just be like, oh, it's adorable. Look at all the tiny planeswalkers. You guys are gonna kill so many people. Yes, you are.
I can't wait. All right. So let's go ahead and move into the competitive segment. So we have GP Copenhagen, which is modern. It had a total of 1,345 players. The champion of it was Prezimik Nozinski, playing Mono Blue Merfolk, defeating Scapeshift, piloted by Steve Hotto in the finals. And there was also another Merfolk deck. He was blue-white, I believe, specifically. And I was surprised, in all honesty, to kind of see, Merfolk make a resurgence. But, we were kind of discussing it in the show chat, but it makes sense. You have Grixis and Jund being, two of the most popular decks showing up. And turns out things like, Master Waves, who has protection from red, is pretty good. Also, like, with Jund, Spreading Seas is heck of a card. Destroys your mana base pretty effectively. And yeah, it seems to be kind of preying on what is existing in the format.
I will say, from playing a lot of Grixis, going back to Master Waves, with everybody playing Terminates now.
Yeah.
And like less, I guess, Go for the Throats or Dismembers,
Dismember,
things like
yeah.
that. Like that thing hits, and if it resolves, then it's very hard to remove.
You're just like,
So-
I guess you have the guy there.
Yeah.
And it just looked like people did not have the proper tools to really interact with the deck in the top 8. I watched a little bit of the top 8, and it just looked like they were just doing whatever.
Yeah, another thing about these Merfolk lists as well, they can afford to play a lot of utility lands since they're monocolor, or at least the one that won was monocolor, the other one was splashing just for Path to Exile, basically. But obviously they're playing the full 4 Mutavaults, but also, where is he?
They're playing
Christopher-
the blue-white Merfolk land as
Yeah,
well.
Christopher Larson was also playing 4 Ghost Quarters in addition to 4 Mutavaults, so
Yeah.
just a little bit extra against Tron and things like that.
Yeah, and then they were playing the Merfolk land,
Wonderwine Hub.
Wonder White Hub.
yeah, Wonderwine Hub, as a some were playing it for a genuine splash. The mono blue player was still playing Wonderwine Hub to play around Choke, which is pretty smart. And also he had the legendary
Yeah, Minamo and Obero.
yeah. So I thought that was pretty sick tech.
Yeah, they talked about that a little on the coverage, and they were saying like, is this just to play around Choke? It's like it kind of makes sense because people aren't going to bring Blood Moon in against a monocolor deck. So yeah, it hurts you a little bit against Blood Moon if people are playing that kind of thing. I guess some people do have it main deck, but for the most part, it's going to be a sideboard card, and
Yeah,
you're not going to bring it in against Merfolk. So
no, not at all.
It's pretty much a free roll.
So taking a look at the rest of the top 8 here, we had
Your favorite boy.
I'm gonna butcher his name. Marcio Carvalho playing Jund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard his name a
There's
lot.
another Carvalho that top 8.
There was apparently to
just
be
for you.
to be good at Magic, you have to have the last name Carvalho. We have Hans. I want to say Hans Christian Andersen. That's not what that is. It's Hans Christian Lundqvist. Playing Mono White Death and Taxes. I saw someone on Twitter today being like, "What's with the Europeans and Death and Taxes?" If you guys don't know, it's a popular legacy deck in the European circuit as well. So to have it show up in Modern is very, very interesting.
Well, if you look at the mana base, I think you get your answer.
Yeah.
4 Ghost Quarter, 3 Tech Edge in your mono white deck.
Super hateful. All it was playing like Lean Arbiter, as a 4 of.
Oh, yeah.
No, Morgan, I know that you're, before we move on from Marcio's deck here, I know you're a connoisseur of fine black-green decks.
I am.
Did you notice one thing missing from the creature section here?
Let's see here. So,
No Bobs.
oh, well, Bob is not a necessary mainstay. Obviously, he doesn't get played in Junk. It's not surprising to not see him in Jund, especially when you have 2 Tassigers in your main deck.
2 Taskers, a Huntmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little surprising, I think. I feel like Bob's pretty ubiquitous, but he's playing Kitchen Finks.
He is playing Kitchen Finks. He also is playing a one of Bitter Blossom as some sweet tech. And I think that is something that's fairly interesting. I don't know if I like it, but
Dark Confidant went through like a 6-month period where it wasn't being played at all.
Yeah.
And now there's a bunch of expensive drops in the deck and lightning bolts everywhere. I don't think it's that surprising to see Bob in the deck.
I don't know, but like we haven't really seen it.
No, it's sort
it
of
makes sense.
It's sort of like a
about
sacred cow. Like it's a sort of like so it is surprising.
yeah,
to
it's
see them.
specifically in Jund, most certainly. I mean, it's hard to really get raw card advantage in the deck, obviously, and that's kind of where Bob steps in. But playing this configuration, you just may not need it. I mean, if you are cutting things, Bob is probably one of the top things you're going to go looking to cut. And playing a one of Bitter Blossom, you're not going to play a one of Bob. That doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. It's definitely different, and his list is different. And I mean, I would like to definitely see how he felt about it the entire run. But I mean, I think it's fine. Again, Junk can get away with not playing Bobs, but they also have Beige Rhino. So I don't know.
It's also a possible concession to there's a large amount of electrolyzers in the top 16 and Culligan's command, so it might be a concession to that as well, where it's just like, I don't want to give you a target that early.
No, not at all.
Kitchen Finks is much better against those.
Yes,
those types.
absolutely.
Of decks, so. Yeah. Another thing I just wanted to touch on is the Scape Shift.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like this deck has pretty much fallen off the map for the most part.
I mean, I saw a lot of Scape Shift at the GP in Charlotte,
but it hasn't been doing well.
I'm not saying
at all.
I didn't see any Scape Shift at the GP.
Oh well, we were sitting in different sections of the GP.
I may be trying to imply something there about Scape Shift.
Well, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, I still don't think this deck is very well positioned right now. There's just so many incidental like Ghost Quarters to mess with your mountains and like actually a lot of counter magic in the format right now. Like I don't know. I'm impressed that he went through this way, but it does surprise me as well that he managed to get this far, to get into the finals.
Yeah, but good for him. I mean, maybe he's been playing it for a long time and he piloted it really well. I don't really know. But I mean, it is still a deck. I mean, I have seen it played. We just haven't seen it do well at all.
I do like the 3 Obstinate Bailoff and 2 Thragtusk in the sideboard.
They transform
all the lives.
Yeah.
He said the Inferno Titan was insane too.
I'm sure it was.
Carvalho was also playing Thragtusk, so I really wish that. Oh, he has Olivia too. Oh man, this is just like standard Jund. This is like.
Where's Garrick? I don't understand.
Yeah, why not throw that guy in there if you want some card advantage? Sure.
Yeah, I see a lot of green decks are just sideboarding into the Thragtusk playing now, and it's kind of weird to see modern. Because like when you think of modern, you think of like all these combo decks. Basically, that's what I think of. But it's kind of been moving more towards this kind of mid range, like Jund, Grixis.
Kind of the race in the Jund mirror to see who lands Thragtusk first. Oh. Who wants to play that kind of magic besides Morgan?
Apparently me. I don't get it either. Hey, I'm trying to build other decks.
I don't play green cards in modern.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get away from it.
The only green cards I played in modern attacked for 3 on turn 1 or 2.
Kitty cats. So I did want to mention that Rest in Peace has kind of shown up as being a potential really, really strong sideboard card, but a difficult one to play depending on your deck. Obviously, you can't play it in tandem with Tarmogoyf. It's a bit awkward, but we see it show up in the Hate Bears deck as well as the Blue-White Merfolk deck, and I thought that that card has been kind of thrown out as being like, it's a really powerful card in the format. It's just really hard to actually play a deck that can take advantage of it. So it's interesting to see 2 decks, playing it in their sideboards show up here in the top 8. Also, we see 3 versions of Grixis, right? All flavors kind of showed up. So if you wanted to play Twin, it's here. If you wanted to play the Control Route, it's here. And if you wanted to play Delver, it's here. So Grixis apparently continues to be good.
Grixis for everybody. No green red drawn in sight.
No, people hate that deck so hard.
There was one that finished like 10th, I believe. Yeah, 10th red green Tron.
Sad on my top 8.
You must have been the lucky one.
I want to say Bloom, like the highest Bloom finish was in the 20s, according to Carson's article. So
yeah,
it was also a Sweet Ghostway deck that finished in the 20s.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there.
Bobby Colgrove used to be a big supporter of the Ghostway deck. There you go, Bobby. There's your one. There's your one. You're welcome.
Yeah, there was some really sweet lists in the top 16. Here, he had Jacob Wilson finishing 11th with the Goryo's Vengeance combo deck.
Yeah, that is
That
another
deck.
deck. Yeah.
And he was on camera, I believe, round 4. Whenever they started the coverage, I think it was one of the first matches, and he definitely killed his opponent on turn 2.
Cool. It's fun format.
Yeah,
Getting things banned.
just drawing 7 cards, gaining how much life did he give off? Whale Spine Worm. Oh, gain 11. Yeah, draw 7 more cards.
Played against that deck last week on Moto. Was doing some modern 8-mans with burn. Got to Deflecting Palm, a Grizzlebrand. That felt great. Felt really good.
Also want to point out in the top 16 we have the Suicide Zoo deck.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's was piloted by Fabrizio and Thierry. I always hear it in my head, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say it like that, and then just not at all. But that was good. This is the Death Shadow deck, where you kill yourself and then you kill your opponent.
Yeah, well, this is one of them.
Correct.
There's been
Yeah.
several Death Shadow decks, but this one is. So the creature suite is 4 Wild Cattle, 4 Curt Ape, 4 Monastery Swiftspear, 4 Death Shadow, 4 Street Wraith, which Street Wraith isn't really
No,
attacking.
You're
Not
probably not
casting
casting
that
that card.
And then you're also running things like Thoughtseize, Taxian Probe, Mutagenic Growth, all the ways to kill yourself, basically, on top of, fetching and shocking yourself.
Hold on, I'm like 4, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fetches and 5 shocks. That's your mana base. 16 lands.
Yeah, absolutely cold the Blood Moon. But, yeah, I mean, this looks super fast. I mean, it's got 4 Become Immense and 3 Teamer Battle Rage. So basically, you get up to 3 mana and you're just...
I'm surprised there's a sideboard.
Yeah, I mean this deck is basically just like dump a bunch of things in my yard, cast a Death Shadow, kill you with Become Immense, and Teamer Battle Rage.
Oh man, and Morgan's favorite deck is in 15th.
Oh yeah,
Living
talking about Living
End.
End. Hey, if you want an argument to be why Rest in Peace is pretty good in the format, play against Living End. They can't beat that card.
I just noticed that the website's actually suggesting that a large amount of people took 15th. So, like, Joel
Everyone.
Larson's in 15th, and so I may not have been in 15th. I actually don't know which one is correct.
You get a 15th place, and you get a 15th place.
Yeah, Larson was actually 15th. He was playing Abs and Company.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the things showing up that we had seen in Charlotte, and
Modern continues to be sweet.
Modern does continue to be sweet. It'll be exciting when Origins comes out, and we see if anything gets banned. So,
got to be honest, I didn't see Merfolk versus Scapeshift finals.
did not predict that, but you can't, like, how are you ever gonna, like, I can see people predicting like a top 8 at a reasonably high like percentage, but like predicting finals in Modern, like,
I guess we did have 2 Merfolk decks in the top 8 of the Columbus Invitational, which was a mixed tournament, but still, I guess Merfolk's always there. People like that deck, I guess.
yeah, and sometimes it's good
for reasons.
just Merfolk things.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the other GP, and this was standard. So we had GP Providence, and it had a total of 1,053 players.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry.
Right.
It was won by Sky Mason playing Red Green Devotion.
That's a sweet name, by the way.
Yeah, no joke. What's your name, Sky?
Sky Mason with the Sky Hook. Yes.
Jesus.
Do a terrible Marv Albert.
Yeah, I am. Your Marv Albert is not good.
That
is mine.
That was either.
That's mine.
And fun fact, typically a judge, and shows that judges can actually play Magic, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, he was actually using his judge sleeves as well.
Oh,
just
man.
in case you didn't know.
Just the humble brags. Look, I'm a judge. Our favorite, our fan, we're fans of him, I should say. He's probably not fans of us, but whatever. Josh McClain showed up in top 8. We all rooting for him, hoping that he would take this one down after losing his deck after making day 2. Cool. Good job.
Yeah.
Undefeated
Yeah, the
on day
casual.
2.
Yeah, 9-0 day 1. Then like, oh, I lost my deck.
But he found it,
Yeah.
which is pretty awesome. He was playing Abzan Megamorph, and we definitely want to take a look at the winner's deck list. Though you said to look at the top end of this list.
Yeah.
So we have an Ugin.
He's got Nugan.
Pretty good. He's got 3 Dragonlord Tarka.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 4 Whisperwoods.
Yeah. 3 Hornet Queens.
3 Hornet Queens. Oh, correct. Missed that.
At the sideboard, we have 2 more Ugins, just in case.
Why not?
We need more. I actually didn't even notice this. I know Reed Duke tweeted about it. He's just like, you think that's enough? I don't know. He's going over everybody.
Just... That's insane. That is a lot of 7 or 8 drop creatures. Jeez.
Hey,
well,
guess
whatever.
What? He killed them all dead.
He did.
The mid-rangiest of the mid-range.
He done picked it. This
Is 8 mana the new mid range?
I hope
where we're
not,
at?
yeah.
Is this the life we're in right
Jeez.
now?
8 mana is the new 5 mana.
Oh man.
We also have Steve Rubin showing up with Red Green Dragons, and this was similar to a list we're going to be talking about in the when we touch on the Open series. But this is sort of a new take of the CVM special, playing things like Den Protector and Death Mist Raptor alongside Stormwrath, Dragon and Thunderbreak Regent. So yeah, this is kind of the new flavor of this list, and seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the deck, this was definitely the deck of the weekend, even though it didn't win this particular tournament. We'll talk about it a little bit more from the starts of the Open.
Yeah.
I do just want to talk a little bit about Steve Rubin just for a sec, though, because I feel like he's super underrated. Like, he's actually platinum.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Competing
kind of
for
weird because
a world slot,
he,
right?
he is currently in
Yeah, that's what I
Worlds,
thought. Yeah.
which is crazy because like I feel like he's probably the most underrated pro.
Oh, I would
I
agree.
feel like I didn't even know he was platinum, and I think he got it like a month ago or something like that. I was like, really, he's platinum? Because you don't really see him top 8 that many tournaments, but he's always up top 16, top 32. He's always up near the top there, even if he's not actually top 8ing tournaments. I believe this was his second Grand Prix top 8 this year, but yeah, super solid. He designed Arilax's winning Pro Tour deck, the Obzan list from Pro Tour Cons. So yeah, super underrated, and I think it'd be pretty cool to see him at Worlds if he can hold on to that slot.
Yeah, hopefully he does. Obviously, he's pretty good friends with a lot of people that we come in contact with.
Yeah, I believe
as
he's
well.
from Pittsburgh area.
Yeah. And so we hear his name every once in a while around here, and yeah, I wish him all the luck in the world. Hopefully he goes out there, does a good representation of the Midwest, and brings home some trophies and some monies. We also have the other Carvalho, Pedro Carvalho, showing up, playing 4-color Whip. Mike might be a fan of this, although it's not the. Do we have? We have no Siege Rhinos.
No
correct?
Siege Rhinos, but
no, it's the
this deck looks
the other
like this
color.
deck.
Oh no way, he's got
Got
Lord Atarka.
got that red.
That's pretty
Whipping
good.
back some Atarkas. Not a bad thing. Not a bad target for Whip of Erebos from what I understand.
It's really strange. We haven't really seen that many whip decks.
No, and this is a Willie Idol favorite.
Yeah,
Because I know Pedro and,
well, he is
and
Brazilian.
yeah, Pedro and Willie Idol definitely have a lot of back and forth on decks. So I know this is something that the Willie Idol has been pioneering on Twitter as being insane and well.
Cool thing about Whip of Erebos and Dragonlord Atarka, you gain 5 life and it deals 5 damage, and then you get to attack.
Yeah, it's actually disgusting.
Likely gain 8 more life.
Yeah, so it's like a 13 life swing. Whatever, it's cool.
NBD.
Plus some on a board. I don't know.
You do the math.
I don't know if it's good.
It doesn't sound bad. And then we have Bant Megamorph actually showing up again, played by Eric Severson. We haven't seen this in a long time.
I want to tell you, I didn't know who the guy was, but I heard about him on Twitter over and over again. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, he's the guy who knocked Seagrist out, right, for top 8.
Of this tournament.
Yeah. All I know is that multiple times, all I kept hearing is like, Oh, those strokes. Because he definitely went up to four. He had 3 disdainful strokes in the main and went up to the 4th post board. And that's what, I mean, like, that's who beat McLean. And it's like just disdainful stroke at the right time. You look at how mid range these decks are, and like, then you look at, like, I'm going to be the mid range deck that has disdainful stroke. Like, you're like, all right, I can see this.
Fair enough.
It's too bad he didn't get paired up against Guy Mason in the top 8. He countered all of his spells.
I have so many targets I don't understand. But then you get to play Den Protector with it. So, like, you can actually rattlesnake,
that's the standard
strokes.
legal Snapcast.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting, and I think that you know, that card was probably just really well positioned.
Oh, I'm sure it was
the
great for
format.
him this weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, he felt comfortable playing that many in the main, knowing that, like, mono red is still a force. But like, nah, I'm going to counter infinite siege rhinos, and I'm going to feel great about it.
fair enough. More power to him, man. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to kind of see, like, a deck that has fallen by the wayside kind of show up again. I know that a lot of people were talking about the Ojutai Jeskai list that was running in 2 separate tournaments, and you know, we don't see that list here. So it's interesting to kind of see, like, you know, things that have fallen by the wayside, you know, kind of maybe pick up a little bit of steam, you know, before we get a bunch of new cards here in July. But yeah, a fairly interesting tournament. I didn't actually watch a whole lot of coverage of it, though, which was kind of important. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more about Standard later in the show, though. Next up, we have the Star City Games Indianapolis Open, which was won by Eric Rill, Ohio native. Still correct, I believe so. And yeah, he was playing the Red Green Dragons list, very similar to Steve Rubin's. Wonder if those guys talked or anything like that.
Yeah, they're very similar. I believe they're 3 to 5 cards difference.
Yeah.
So.
And like we said, this is kind of the deck of the weekend. It defeated Mardu Dragons, piloted by Jamie Kelly in the finals. And kind of round out the top 8, we have Abzan mid-range, Green Black Dragons, piloted by Kent Ketter, Bant Heroic, Green Red Devotion, piloted by Chris Anderson, Green White Devotion, and Mardu Dragons as well. So, you know, maybe obviously a little bit different than what we saw at the GP, but just you know, we have a lot of, like, mid-rangey sort of decks, and then Bant Heroic, pretty much. But this is kind of, we see this a lot, I think, with standard formats that have been around for a while, where everything just kind of settles into the mid-range, and you just are kind of vying for the middle ground, at least a lot with, you know, recent standard formats.
Yeah, it's definitely for sure, like, the past couple of years, that's kind of how it's gone.
Where it's just like, you know, we're just all base green, kind of middle of the road decks.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly why I'm not really
Yeah.
thrilled with the current format as it is right now.
I know we moved to the SCG, but like I was saying, you know, every single deck in the top 8 of Providence has green mana, and almost every single deck in the top 8 of, like, and don't get me wrong, green, I like you. You do some cool things. I've done some sweet things with green in my day. But man, I can't play any more 4 toughness creatures on the and just see them on the board, and they can't attack through each other, and they're just making more guys. They're just like, oh man, flipping pancakes off top of the library. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I didn't like it when Thragtusk was, like, all over the place, and I don't like it when Siege Rhino and Deathmist Raptor are all over the place. It's just like,
I restorationated way too many Thragtusks. I really can't.
Man.
I can't comment
Yeah,
on that
no,
one.
I'm a big Thragtusk supporter.
I did win a PTQ with Thragtusk, but
Yeah, Thragtusk.
it didn't mean I had liked it. I mean, I like that, but I didn't like the format.
Yeah, Thragtusk has done well by all of us. All right, we cannot trample his name.
Let's just hope they never print him again. Okay, there it is. We can agree on that.
I would not be opposed to that, but that's just
That's
me. That's just the person I am.
Anyway,
So let's move ahead. We've already talked standard a lot, so let's move ahead to Legacy here. And we see that Burn took down the IQ.
Burn actually won a tournament.
Yeah, Burn won a tournament. Hey, you know, you in Modern it can do that.
No, I know, but not in Legacy.
You
you don't see it
typically
happen.
not in Legacy. Now it did play against Death and Taxes in the finals, so you know it wasn't a blue deck.
Tournament and burn.
I
Just trying to figure out how I could do this, like turn and burn and turn. I'm
it's
sorry.
Fine. It's fine. You tried.
Lag.
This list too is one of the most straightforward lists I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3. 8 mountains. It's like it's got
it is
actually like 12 bolts.
It is straight to the point. It knows what it wants to do, and it's going to do it over and over and over again.
Right.
Killing is his business, and business is good.
And then we also have CVM showing up with Omnitel, and he's been playing that for what seems like forever, as well as Ben Weinberg playing Teamer Delver. And then Judd shows up, actually, and I just want to mention that it showed up in Legacy.
Oh, Manaless Red showed up as well, so I mean, I just wanted to show out that Legacy's awful.
Point taken. Point taken. Yeah, sure. Yep, we'll give you that.
I will say, I mean, I was just talking to someone this evening, one Riley Curran discussing the state of Legacy. Not a lot of miracles here, which is sort of surprising with how miracles has really been dominating this format.
Do you have any?
Hold on here. I'm looking at Blue White Control. Blue White Control.
Blue White Control.
Well,
not miracles.
It's not. It has Terminus and Tops and Counterbalance, but it doesn't have.
It's miracles.
This is miracles.
It's
Why did they not do
Miracles.
that? All right. Well, okay. I take it back. Miracles still
That's,
top 8.
That's the Star City deck naming.
Oh,
They're just throwing a wrench into it. It's Blue White Control. It is Blue White Control technically.
I'm sorry, everybody.
And they just want they literally got tired of being like miracles, so they're like Blue Light Control. Click on this.
Yeah, it's the clickbait. Clickbait
You won't
title.
believe what this Blue White Control deck has in it.
For Terminus.
Ah, they got me. Rats.
I clicked on it. Man,
Yeah.
Got me again.
the Gene Parmesan of decks.
All right.
That's a special one for all you out there.
That's
you got that joke. We're friends.
Yeah, we're friends. You know,
I didn't get that. Does that mean we're not friends anymore?
we are not
Correct.
friends. Accurate.
You figured it out.
Let's talk about Modern again. So the Modern IQ was won by Grixis Delver, piloted by Matt Bemonte.
Hey!
Not Dave.
How do you
Sorry.
feel about this deck?
Yeah, I was I had a little mixed feelings. Like, I've kind of moved on from Delver. But now it's kind of like, I kind of want to play it. It's like,
I was waiting
it's
for
like
you
I
to say.
broke up with Delver, but now it's like a couple weeks have gone by. And
Baby,
now
come
it's
back.
like,
She's
you know
looking
what?
pretty good. I thought it was interesting. I thought you were like, if you said like, I don't think it's very good right now, then like we'd see the same cycle where like you think Delver's not good, so you stop playing it, and then like it wins a couple tournaments, and you're like, I don't know yet, and then eventually like, all right, I'm back on the Delver train. We know how the cycle goes.
Yeah.
It's like listening to Morgan talk about Jabzan or Junzin or whatever it is.
Judson.
Yeah.
Jabzan.
It's really weird because I'm literally going back on. So I went from playing Grixis Delver to Grixis Twin the last tournament I played in, but I really want to play Chapin's Grixis Control deck. But now I'm like, oh man, Delver top 8 in Copenhagen.
To be fair, Control also top 8'd in this one and in
Yeah,
Copenhagen.
I know.
So did Scapeshift
Yeah.
again.
It's coming back,
Where's
man.
this coming from?
I don't know. I think it's funny that the 7th place list of banned hexproof is not. There's no blue.
Oh man, what is this?
Fun. Closest thing you get is one Misty Rainforest.
Has Slippery Bowl. That's a blue card.
Oh, correct. Oh, okay. Yeah, is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing
Oh, yeah.
here?
They're getting technical on
They
it.
must have some automated naming system that's like, this because it got blue, it's ban hexproof.
So I do wonder, and I know this is random, but I haven't, not having tested it, I was playing against the Grixis Control list a little bit on Friday just to test it out a little bit. I do wonder if Scapeshift has an alright matchup against that deck. Just because, like, it's sort
They
of...
don't really clock you.
Yeah, it's sort of threat light.
They do, though. They do clock you.
They can clock you, but you've got a ton of, like, you have as many cryptics as they do. And, like, the longer the game goes, the better it is for the Scapeshift player. So I do wonder if that matchup just becomes, like, dirtily enough that Scapeshift just, like, will have so much mana that it just wins.
I will say this. Chapin chose to not play Blood Moon in his list purposely because he felt like people would be prepared for it and people would be playing around it anyway, and he would get more value out of playing Fulminator Mage. That's the route he chose to go. That opens up the door because Blood Moon is pretty good against Scapeshift.
Right.
Basically shuts down their whole combo. And Fulminator Mage, while it kind of disrupts them a little bit, but it doesn't completely shut them down. Maybe more people are moving away from Blood Moon, and maybe that's why Scapeshift is doing a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
the
something
fourth place list for Grixis Control had the 4 Fulminators.
Yeah.
Yep. So, something to think about.
No, definitely. So just interesting, just to see actually these top 8s really shake out in a really similar fashion, minus the fish. I just sort of interesting.
Oh, yeah, most certainly.
Also, Lauren Nolan
Yeah, shout out.
definitely drew himself into ninth on this one.
Shout out,
unfortunately for him.
Doing the Riley Curran special, getting 9th place. Proud of you, buddy. All right. Well, that's enough for competitive. Let's go ahead and move into the question of the week, which is competitive focused, to say the least. So, standard, we talked about it and how it's all just a mid-range mess filled with X4s and X5s and no one being able to attack and people casting Ugin after Ugin and all this jazz. It's been a bit stale. Not to say that the format's figured out, but it is a lot of the same things over and over again at this point in time.
You can't see the forest for the trees.
So many trees.
So we are still a bit off from rotation and sets cycling out, but we did want to kind of take it an opportunity to play a little bit of a devil's advocate and see, if we could pick a card, just a single card that could rotate out right now. I guess in theory this would be like an emergency ban.
So let's say it rotates out as Origin rotates in.
Yeah.
Like Origin's legal and you get to cut a card. You're given the cool little scissors and you're like, yeah, this one.
It's a hammer because let's be fair, it'd be like a ban hammer. Yeah, it's a ban hammer.
All right, cool.
So we decided to kind of pose this thought experiment to ourselves today and see if we could, figure out a card to get rid of that would, change the format for the better or the worse.
So I guess I'll start here because I sort of tipped this question this way. Dave when I sort of worked on tweaking it because I'm like let's talk about what would be good to rotate right now. And Dave's like, we're like 4 months away from that. I'm like, yeah, but Standard's so boring. And I feel
go
bad.
A little bit of a hypothetical.
I feel like we were just talking about how varied it was just a few months ago. So
ever since Dragons came
Dragons is so powerful, but the cards that are powerful have been identified, and it's sort of pushed a number of different strategies out. That being said, I do think the card that I would be if I was going to just take out a card. This could be personal preference. I'm done playing against it. I'm tired of seeing it. It allows this card being absent would allow me to metagame for other decks better. I'd get rid of Thoughtseize. I feel like we've there's been multiple times in its span in Standard where it's always good, but there's been a couple times since it's been legal in Standard where it's been like, okay, this is ridiculously good. When you had Mono Black, Pack Rat ruling the roost, and then now these decks, when you can go Thoughtseize you and then set it up so you can then Den Protector and Thoughtseize you again, and you look. I mean, obviously a skilled player can set you up for this anyways, but you then have to build your deck so that you can recover from these things, which really thins out. You're looking at Esper Dragons, and you start playing things like Dragon Lord's Prerogative in the main, and things that you have to start hedging against all these discard effects, and then they can just creatures are so good now that Thoughtseize plus a creature is disgusting. So I feel like just the creature you could combat against, or just the Thoughtseize you can combat against. But I think Standard would feel a lot better, and maybe just because I've had it cast against me so many times. I'm fine when I see it in Modern, but I feel like I'm on the level playing field in Modern. Whereas Standard, if I don't want to be playing Raptors and Den Protectors, then I'm not. So Thoughtseize is the card for me. I'll be happy to see it rotate. I would cut it as soon as Origins came in. You guys can have Duress. That's all you get.
Deal with it.
All right. So the card that I would definitely get rid of right now, and I know this card just came out in the last set, but Death Mist Raptor, it's got to go.
Oh.
It's got to go.
Oh, sorry. Hey, it's a Jurassic World out there, Dave.
Yeah, I know. It's one that I don't like. I don't want to live in this world.
A lot of people didn't like it.
No, I don't know. You just see, it's really pushing out a lot of the control decks in the format. You see Esper Dragons, Blue Black, really, they're still played and they're still part of the metagame, but they're definitely falling off from where they were. And you just see Devotion decks, you see Abzan decks, you got Abzan aggro, you got Green Red Dragons picking up the Death Mist Raptor package. It's just all right, enough is enough. I just don't like this card. Like I said, I didn't like Thragtusk when it was in Standard. I don't like these dirty green creatures that don't let you attack. It's just, I don't know. It gives too much late game value to the green decks. Lets it keep up, and I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, watching you play some of those matches at the Invitational, I had that same thought where really late in the game, you drew your opponent drew a Den Protector, which the card is great by itself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I like Den Protector a lot as a card. I like Eternal Witness too, but then flipping it up and you're so far into the game, I get these three Raptors back, and it's well, you didn't do anything for that. You know what I mean? You can talk about deck construction, whatever you want, but like, there's no hoop to jump through for the green deck to just all of a sudden have a ridiculous board state. And Death Touch is so powerful in that same context that it's frustrating.
Well, even the fact that like it can come back face down.
Right.
So it was a feature match that I was watching where it was Mike Siegrist against Alexander Hayne, and they were both playing, I think, identical Abzan Megamorph list. And like Hayne just had like a Deathmiss Raptor face down, and then like one face up, and then you kept like bringing back the other one by like flipping them up. It was just like, all right, this is just, come on, this is just ridiculous. Can we just stop the madness?
And like in that matchup, then like Hayne wins because he drew more Deathmiss Raptors than Siegrist. Like,
yeah, he was able to just keep pressuring because Siegrist just had some tokens to block.
So it's just like, ugh, like
he eventually
Siege
like
Rhino
smashed through. But it was just like, I don't know. It just leads to very boring games, in my opinion. So
yeah, I wonder if we'll see any more exile removal, like just something to combat that card, or even like a scavenging ooze wouldn't,
like a condemn or something.
Something like this, something to combat it, because it does seem like standard isn't going to change. Even after rotation in a few months, Den Protector and Deathmiss Raptor, they're best friends.
Yeah, I know that card's going to be around for a long time,
and Whisper Elemental is still there, and
no, Fate rotates out at the same time that Cons does.
But
that's
we're
going to stay in longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that rotation. I'm not that thirsty. All right.
I'm just saying, like, Deathmiss Raptor, Dead Protector have like the maximum amount of like stayability. Like they're just gonna be there the longest from now.
I get it.
I'm saying
it makes me sad, but I get it.
Yeah, it makes me sad too.
Right,
kinda. I don't know.
So what is your Banhammer card, Morgan?
A Siege Rhino. I love that card. Don't get me wrong. But Siege Rhino just does terrible things in this format a lot of the time. I know Abzan hasn't necessarily been like the most prominent deck, and it still shows up a healthy amount.
You're talking about modern?
Yeah, what?
No. I said standard.
You said Abzan hasn't been the most prominent deck?
I mean, from the results we just talked about.
Well, not this week.
Right, not this
week.
week.
It was still there.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, obviously the discussion point would be around the green-red decks that showed up. So we wouldn't be talking about Abzan, but Abzan is still always there. And it is something that has to be, like, prepared for in the format. And
it's your checkpoint. I mean, it's like
exactly.
It's your format checkpoint. Can your deck beat a Siege Rhino? Can it beat two Siege Rhinos?
If you're playing Jeskai, the answer is no, and that's why you don't see any Jeskai decks.
Exactly. So it's like
or Teamer.
Right. So we have things like Sarkin Unbroken, which should be like a fantastic card in theory, like just in a vacuum.
Playable card.
Yeah,
a playable card.
Okay, sorry, fine, playable. But it's not.
It's not because it makes 4/4 tokens and it can't effectively block a Siege Rhino.
Correct. So, like, Siege Rhino just does these things that make the format have to fit into these holes, have to fit into these certain things. And without that card, I think you breathe new life into the format. And, cards that are stone unplayable suddenly become a little bit better. Also, I think this would almost be Tassiger, but it's not as good. If this was like, if you could play Tassiger as soon as you could play him in like Modern, then maybe we'd have a talk.
Hey,
but
leave Tassiger alone.
No, he's fine.
But
he's fine.
If Siege Rhino was legendary, you wouldn't be having the same conversation.
No, not at all.
It would be very good, but you would not be able to, oh look, I untap, play another Siege Rhino. Like you wouldn't be able to, and that's why Tassiger only has a couple of slots.
Yeah.
So you can't make Siege Rhino legendary.
No.
Maybe we could.
You might be able to make him renowned.
Yeah. Well done.
And especially since we posed this question, once Origins hits, with a card we just talked about, coming out, I don't know. Languish is it's gonna be bad. I don't think people quite realize this, but it's gonna be. It feels like it's gonna be gross.
At least it kills Deathmiss Raptor until it comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing though is that the Abzan control deck has shown itself to be a deck that is beatable, because you're not going to be able to play you're not going to be ramping Caryatid into your Languishes, and even playing like Den Protectors into it is a little bit awkward.
Sure.
So you're going to be looking at lists that are a little more controlling, and I will say from that angle, I agree Siege Rhino is gross, but I do think the rotation of Courser is going to help this.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, in a few months we'll get there when we get there. But I think that card is is another card that's really helped those decks be feel the control lists at least feel that consistent. So I definitely feel like I don't know, like I see where Origins is going. I know Wizards has worked really hard to try and make the different colors feel better. You know, black had a really, really strong set of cards for a little while, and now green is sort of having its day. But I'm also afraid that like the reason it's having its day is because of how just the creatures are now so much better than the spells that they have tipped the other direction, where you just can't prepare for things. And the best spell in the format then to go with it is the thing that robs the decks of any of its ability to catch up. So I don't know. I'm very done with this format, and that feels sad because I was really enjoying this format, and I really do like Esper Dragons. I still enjoy playing that deck, but I really hate dying to like the 3rd Siege Rhino or my absent opponent being able to burn me out, which doesn't make sense to me still.
Why do you have reach?
You've done 9 damage to me with lightning bolts. Like, you've done 9 damage to me with lightning bolts. You're a green deck and a white deck and a black deck, and none of these things can do that. And I don't like you very much anymore. I'm going, oh.
The biggest of tears.
Ding.
Yeah, I think like I think all of those cards are valid. I think the Thoughtseize one was like kind of insane. So yeah, that was a good choice. That was a wise choice.
And so I won this edition to go into turns.
It's not.
It's not a competition.
No, I won.
Hypothetical conversation.
That's
It's a hypothetical competition that I hypothetically won.
Sure, we'll give you that.
Whatever makes you
hypothetically. All right, so let's move into the closing of the show. So one thing we did want to touch on is that we are actually going to try to be active on YouTube. I would say more active, but zero activity really. No, we're going to try to be more active on YouTube via our At Your End Step account. We're going to call it At Your End Step TV, and we kind of want to start this off with a sort of a series of videos, centering around Tiny Leaders. So we're going to have our Tiny Leaders Super League and hopefully not get sued. No,
but it won't be called that.
No.
It's going to be a series of videos with Tiny Leaders decks.
Yeah. We have 6 people competing in it, and a friend of the show, and he's on here for the review shows, Brian Keller, has been working really hard to set up the camera, do the overlay. It's all coming together. It's going to be sweet. So
yeah, we've started the pre-production, so it should be out pretty soon.
It's some content that's a little bit out of left field for us because we definitely do more competitive stuff. But we also feel like, we're not a super league, but knowing that you already have had vintage and you've had standard and you have modern as well, it's like, you know what? Let's tap this. Let's see if we can do this.
Yeah, let's do something fun. And Tiny Leaders is fun, and it is a bit more competitive than something like regular Commander or something like that. So
you have sideboards.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
so, and the games move, I think, a little bit faster as well.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah.
And I think I'll be doing some commentary with him on them as well. So
awesome.
We're looking to do that. It's gonna be sweet.
Right, and then the idea that at least that I had was with At Your End Step TV, we could also include anytime we stream, which isn't that often, but in the future, if we decide to do that, it'd be under At Your End Step TV.
Yep.
And any other kind of video content like deck techs and things like that. So
sure.
Something that we're hoping to expand on and are looking for things to do. So
yeah, I think the last thing that we even have on there is something from GP Richmond. So
the Sam Party deck
yes,
tech.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Hey, they're still both really good, though.
That's a fact. 100%.
So,
quality content,
still
guys.
Still relevant.
Is that deck tech still relevant?
There's no birthing pod, so it's not.
Not at all.
It's not. I'm just really glad for both of them, and Jacob Wilson, too, that they have shown that they can win with decks that aren't birthing pod.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very impressive.
I think maybe you could still use that, but you have to go, you'd have to dub over it. It's like, check out these 4 collected companies.
That's actually the best.
I mean, we could try that. We could watch the video and see, anytime we reference Birthing Pod, if a collected company could fit in there and work.
Just have, 4 censored cards.
I just remembered that video now when you had to censor a certain part and you had, little horn noise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I do somewhat quality work.
He's a censorship wizard.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's something you should be a wizard of, but...
No, not a very powerful Planeswalker ability. So let's go ahead and move on to the weekend. So we have GP Singapore, which is modern, as well as GP Buenos Aires, which is going to be standard, and then the Baltimore Open, which is also standard. So awesome Magic coverage to be following over the weekend.
Just SCG will actually have coverage.
Well,
it's a little awkward.
That is awkward.
Oh, neither GP has coverage?
I don't think
they have written coverage? They usually have written coverage.
Yeah.
Wow,
It'll be old school written coverage.
People can read.
I guess neither coverage team were actually near these GPs, so maybe that's the issue. But
no. And then we have Dave and Mike going to the regional PTQ in Indy for their shot at qualifying for the Pro Tour. It's sealed, so good luck, guys.
Been doing some practice sealed pools. Let me tell you, this format's terrible. Every deck is bad.
Cool.
Let me tell you, not prepared at all.
I was telling Dave about something like, so yeah, I played this card and this card. Dave's like, I don't know what these cards do.
I don't know what those cards do. Literally, I've looked at sealed pools, like online, and I can see the card names, but I don't know what any of the cards do. So it doesn't do me any good. I need to actually read the cards. I'm going to be like that guy, like reading all the cards. Yeah, that's me.
Cool.
So
glad you're not timed during.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah. Now I'm hoping that they have enough people so that it's just like straight cut to top 8, and then like top 8 players make it, so that there's no draft necessary. So hopefully just get a busted sealed pool, just XO the Swiss, boom. All right.
Yeah, live that dream.
No,
well,
like in all honesty, though, like I'm a little aggravated that this is limited, because it feels like it's kind of like a dead format almost. Like we're getting ready to move into Origins.
Oh no, it's definitely, this is really awkward, and no one is like pushing it. Like you haven't seen like Clean Rougeau being like, everyone ready for the RPTQs. Like they had an article about it this week, but the article was about all the swag you might get and the cool things they're going to reveal, and like I think this is a fail. Like this is a big massive failure as far as like the format, and hopefully they don't do this to people again.
And also I kind of feel like, at least in this area, I don't know what types of PPTQs they're running everywhere else, but around here
they're
it's
modern.
mostly constructed.
They're modern this season. They have to be modern.
Well, this season
modern
is
or sealed.
or sealed. But for the season that we're going for was the previous one.
Right.
And I felt like they were mostly constructed.
Yeah, and standard.
So now you get most of the players qualifying via constructed, and then you have a sealed regional, which for people like me is awkward because I haven't played any limited.
We've gone to a bunch of major events recently, and most of the guys that I know, like that I would know, that I would say, okay, I don't really want to sit across the table from you at this RPTQ. I've said like, hey, so you've been practicing sealed, and they've been like, wait, what?
Sealed.
It's like, oh yeah, it's sealed. So it's like there's just like, there's not even this expectation on your mind that could have been sealed. So
right,
I mean,
it's just kind of dropped on.
I'm okay with sealed as a format. It frustrates me that you still have to jump. So putting sealed as a format for an RPTQ after you already had to win a PPTQ to get there, it's frustrating because it adds yet another level of variance. Like, to just, it's frustrating.
No, there is some skill to sealed, but sometimes you just get a pool that's like, what am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I don't mean there's not. Obviously, play skills involved and deck construction is involved, but yeah, there's definitely some pools that are just a lot better than others, and it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to rise to the top across 8 rounds or 7 or 8 rounds of sealed.
Yeah, especially if you get that scenario like I talked about, where it's just like straight cut to top 8.
Yeah.
So you just like, oh, cool. Like,
I did a Phantom sealed last night, and I was like, I thought my deck was pretty good. Built Esper, like it was a light splash. Man, I was like, okay, I think it's the best deck, and played 6 games, so two matches. Went 0-2 in the matches, and lost all 4 of my games to Ugins. The last one when my opponent had
realistic.
Like my opponent had 8 cards left in the library, and I'm like, it was like the Ugin countdown. I'm like, I know one of these cards is going to be Ugin, and I have to draw this card before you draw. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, good. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, so is this good testing? Not really, because I just died to Ugin. But then again, like you just go to the RPTQ and be like, I'm playing really good Magic, and your opponent goes, oh, I drew this Ugin, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna pack it in.
That's what I'm hoping to do. So
glad I went to Indy.
I'm gonna be that
everybody.
guy.
So just open Ugin, guys. Oh, we'll get past Ugin, guys.
Yeah, and he'll minus his Ugin, and then he'll forget that it doesn't kill things that have been manifested, and he'll be like, oh, wait, I just died anyways. And that's what you get for not reading cards.
All right. Well, no, he might have played Ugin in Standard, so it's fine.
I mean, he's peeled it off the top a couple times.
Yeah.
I've played that.
Ugin is his friend, so it's fine. And then while those guys are there in Indy, I will be at Indy PopCon, also in Indy. So we're all going to be in Indianapolis over the weekend, not doing the same thing, which is fairly interesting. But I confirmed today that they do have, that we'll have Magic tournaments of some persuasion at Indy PopCon, which I will be participating in. So if
literally says Magic tournament,
it's all right. I'll be fine.
You want to go over there if we scrub out?
Oh yeah,
all right,
yeah, 100%.
Is it the same convention center?
No,
we're in a hotel. Have you not looked at that?
Oh no,
we're not.
It's
a free event. You think
I just found out this was sealed last week.
Like it's a free event. You think they're like actually like getting the the convention center?
I don't know. All right, yeah, it makes sense. They're only gonna
It's
have like
gonna be in the
100 people.
basement of a Marriott hotel, and it's not gonna be good.
We're gonna have pipes dripping on us, rats running around the floor,
Probably won't be that bad.
like a literal dungeon.
If they're pack rats, I'll put them on the table. I want to go to the pro tour.
That's not. All right. Anyway,
so
rotated.
So fun fact, if you are in the RBTQ and then do scrub out and do want to do something else, come down to Indie PopCon. It's a big sort of geek convention. It really appeals to everyone and within our culture. So gaming, anime, TV, movies, comics, like it's very, very much so a mass appeal as far as that is concerned. So hope to see some people there. Might come say hi to me if you know. I'll try to be as recognizable as possible. So hopefully I'll see you guys there at Indie PopCon. But past that, that's pretty much everything for this weekend. Come follow us on Twitter at YourEndStep. Like us on Facebook at YourEndStep on there. Like Comic Con Gaming Center on Facebook. They're a lovely sponsor. Has some awesome events going on as always. And then that's pretty much it for this week. We'll catch you guys next time. You have a great one. Bye.